At the beginning, I would like to, how should I say, use a Tibetan few sentences. Kange doze yeso ne, dawa tamze pangpe jere, tampe shene tenze be, kodam de la chaze. Terde 그래서 그래 인터겐디 가서 보자. 아니 안다. 저가 안다. 인식도 봐. 그래 차도 투뭉타네. 엔터데 지금 날엔데 다 로규던데 직도로던데 거를 차도 더 돌려나 소시래. 저 돌려 봐. 자나 이번에 싫어요 중샤 투시 수긴.
So, first of all, having paid homage to the Buddha, I would like to congratulate the Indira National Center for Arts and Tibet House for organizing this event and the seminar that we're going to have for 2 days on the Nalanda tradition of Buddhism in Asia.
Since 1956, I had opportunity come to India and so the pilgrimage to many Buddhist sites, including Nalanda. Of course, as a young person, young monk, from childhood, you see, the name of Nalanda very familiar in our ear, because I think I study. According to Tibetan tradition, firstly we memorize those we call root text. Then eventually, word by word, explain. Then also, through debate, try to precise the meaning. Right? Like that. So, me too. I think age 6, 7, start memorizing. As a young boy, I have to sort of learn by heart because of my tutor. Sometimes a tutor showing little threat, but for myself, with great reluctance, learning these things, no interest. Then, gradually. I study more serious, then I really admire those, the text which wrote by Indian masters. Then when 1956 came to India, seeing these sort of area, and immediately reflect their thought, their knowledge, which very familiar. So now, I want to say, you see this picture, the great institution, Buddhist institution, are just ruined. 장고 가서 장고.
Just a ruin of walls.
괜찮죠?
Just the Nalanda University today is just a ruin.
However, I think knowledge, perhaps I think developed, of course, based on Buddha's teaching. Then polishing someone. Polishing someone.
To make it more refined.
And also, you see, use a lot of reasons, the logical approach. This institution, I think, really contributed immensely to our Buddha Dharma, particularly in the Sanskrit tradition. So then eventually, of course, firstly, Pali tradition from India, Burma, Thailand, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Laos, in this area. Really well established, wonderful. And mainly Vinaya, monks or monastics or system. Really wonderful. Then, on top of the Pali tradition, the Sanskrit tradition, which now mainly, you see, they come from Nalanda. Perhaps Takshashila also maybe. I think mainly from Nalanda. At least I think a few centuries, Nalanda remained, I think, a top institution. Not only religious sort of teaching, but also the academic sort of, because of the learning center. So then the knowledge of Sanskrit tradition from India to China. Then later from India to Tibet, like that. So now China, Vietnam, Korea, Japan, Tibet, Mongolian, some republics in Russian Federation, all these areas follower of Nalanda tradition. So building ruined. I think some pigeons may be there, some insects there. I think they remain peacefully there. But actually that great institution just as a memory. But their knowledge, now 21st century, still alive. I think in this respect, we Tibetan, I think over 1,000 years, we really kept the Nalanda knowledge, as I mentioned earlier. Firstly, memorize the root text. Then each word explain. Then debate, through debate, precisely.
To rigorously study, precise, to get the meaning precise.
So actually, Buddha himself, you say, express something rough translation. Oh, my follower, monks, scholars, should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation, the experiment. So like Nagarjuna and Aryadeva, Buddhapalita, Chandakirti, I think mainly, you see, these Nalanda scholars implemented the Buddha's teaching, not out of faith, but rather thorough investigation. So they even sort of Buddha's own word, they investigate. When they found certain Buddha's teaching goes against reason, then they reject. So they took liberty, even examine Buddha's own word. Since the Buddha give us the liberty, so the Nalanda masters, I think really, you see, they make every sort of effort to know the reality through investigation. So therefore, as someone already mentioned, now modern time, in the mainly West, eventually science, the concept of science developed, then they really sort of investigate what's the reality through experiment, through investigation. I think I may sort of share, you see, here, I think the audience, about 40 years ago, one day, I talked one American lady who consider herself as a Buddhist, Tibetan Buddhist. I just mentioned, I want to discuss with modern scientists in different fields of science. She expressed to me, be careful. Science is killer of religion. Be careful. Then I thought, oh, the genuine scientists, their mind is neutral, open. They always investigate. At the beginning, skeptical, open mind. Through investigation, once they find fact, then they accept. So that's exactly Nalanda tradition, also exactly that way. So therefore, I felt, you see, no danger. Meeting with scientists and discuss. As a result of the more knowledge about cosmology, about world, universe, these things, now I also, you see, took liberty to reject existence of Mount Meru. I think many of monks here, I think they still believe there's Mount Meru. One time, I show one picture of the Apollo. They are first reaching moon, some picture. So that picture I show some of my friends, Tibetan scholars, good scholar. I show the picture. Now this is moon. Then he still believes, oh, that may be part of the Mount Meru's rocky area. So like that. And this, of course, the scientific sort of view, knowledge, findings, are on the basis of finding, measurement, and calculate. So therefore, that's the reality. As a follower of Nalanda, we must accept the reality. So then, eventually, I start discussion with scientists, mainly 4 fields: cosmology, neurobiology, physics, particularly including quantum physics, then psychology. Now, almost 30 years passed. As a result of meeting, discussion with modern scientists and also thinkers and philosophers, the interest, both sides, their side also, you see, much increase. now year by year, much sort of number of scientists now really showing eagerness, this kind of discussion. And we also, you see, learned useful information about particles, quantum physics, and quarks like that. Very useful. So now, after 30 years, it became clear, as far as matter is concerned, Western science really, their knowledge really highly developed. So many things we can learn from their finding. As far as the mind is concerned, psychology is concerned, Western psychology, like, I think, like kindergarten, very beginning, Indian psychology, including Buddhist psychology, highly developed. Therefore, I think over at least 20 years, I think now many scientists really very, very eager to learn from Indian information about mind, emotion from Indian psychology, including Buddhist psychology. So they found very, very useful. So firstly, fuller knowledge about emotion. Once they have sort of fuller knowledge about emotion, then much easier to tackle these destructive emotions. Without knowing, either surgery or alcohol or drugs or prayer. Once you get fuller knowledge about the picture of emotion, picture of mind, and its own sort of causes and the conditions, all these, once you see clear picture there, then much easier to deal. Like physical illness, once you know the correct causes, the immune system, virus, or once you know these things, then easier to deal physical illness. Similarly, mental illness or mental sort of disturbances, or once you know the whole system of the mind, whole system of emotion, then much easier to deal. So now many scientists say the healthy body very much related with healthy mind. So medical science, now people really showing interest about the sort of ancient ancient Indian sort of psychology, these things. As a result, last now over 10 years, number of scientists actually now carrying some experiment. So result, very convincing positive result. So now, you see our work year by year now increasing. So therefore, we can say Nalanda tradition, Nalanda knowledge, not only ancient knowledge, but also very relevant to today's world. For India's development, material field, Western science, Western technology, really sort of, they made a lot of contribution, isn't it? So similarly, about inner world is concerned, healthy inner world is concerned, I think India can make significant sort of contribution for whole world. So that's India's treasure. So therefore, I usually describe Indian, historically, our guru. We are Chela, as I mentioned there. But more precise, ancient Indians are guru, not modern Indian. Modern Indian, too much westernized. Excuse, okay? So my Indian friend, I often used to telling, modern knowledge, modern science, technology really very important. We must catch up. Look, people from China, recent few decades, they really developed in these fields quite rapidly, catching up. Now, India, firstly, you have no problem about the language. You have the potential. So you must make effort to further develop in the material field, knowledge in the material field. At the same time, you must keep your 1,000-year-old knowledge about inner world. Not consider as a religious part, but consider as an academic subject. Your own traditions of knowledge. So that I always telling my Indian friend. So there is no point to neglect about these ancient Indian knowledge. It's very, very essential. So this knowledge, although come from Buddhist literature, Buddhist text, but itself, I do not consider as a part of Buddhism. These are simply knowledge. So therefore, I usually approach when I explain these things on secular basis. That also Indian tradition. Over 3,000 years, you have very good sort of concept of secularism. That means respect all religion and also respect non-believer. So modern Indian constitution, because this country, multi-religious community, a nation, therefore constitution, there's no other choice except secular basis. Respect all religion. Some my friend in the West, when they hear the secular, they little bit sort of reservation. Secular means little bit distance from religion. According to Indian understanding, not at all. Respect all religion and also respect non-believer. So that I think very realistic approach and very relevant to today's world. I saw one report that out of 7 billion human beings, about over 1 billion human beings formally say non-believer. So over 1 billion, quite big portion. So these people, as a human being, and an important part of the humanity, so they also should pay more attention about our inner value for their own sort of well-being. Without inner value, if we eventually become like slave of money, we can't get peace of mind, isn't it? Always think of money, 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 and for money and power also, like that. So then we become like animal. We have this very unique sort of brain, something very unique from other mammals. So we must utilize this unique sort of brain. So not just sort of relying on sensorial sort of experiences, but mental level. Through that way, we can really utilize real human quality. I think sometimes I jokingly telling people, as far as the sensorial sort of experience is concerned, elephant sort of smell, I think much stronger than human being. You see, their big nose, you see, they can feel, you see, I think few kilometers, isn't it? And some small sort of insect, you see, their ear, I think much better than our ear. You see, they can hear, you see, some distance, the small, because of the voice, isn't it? Sound like that. So, as far as sort of the sensorial sort of experience is concerned, some of these mammals, even I think some birds, I think their experience are more stronger than we. But then we have this mental power. Analyze. And through analyze, then you can develop conviction. Wholeheartedness is really ultimate source of inner peace, because sense of concern, more sense of concern is there. Sense of self-confidence come. More self-confidence, more inner strength. That automatically reduces fear. Less fear, you can easily trust. More fear, you yourself, you see distance from other. And then fear come. Then distrust come. That's the real sort of source of problem which modern society face. We are a social animal. The social animal, there must be something to bring together. That's a human compassion. You have sense of concern of others' well-being, then all come together. If you extreme self-centered attitude, then you yourself make a distance from others. That's actually against the basic human nature. So these are not sort of, not educated these things. Oh, Buddha says, oh, Lord Krishna, this was mentioned, or Jesus Christ mentioned. No. Yes, very good, wonderful. All religious tradition, you see, emphasis, importance of practice of love, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, these things. But we must approach to educate people. This mental quality is the key factor for healthy body, and a healthy mind, and healthy family, healthy society. Not talking about next life, not talking about nirvana. Simply try, try to create better humanity, better world. So here we really need sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. I think too much concept of we and they, that I think outdated. We must think entire 7 billion human beings as a we, as a part of me. That I think really, now these kinds of concepts, I think according to Indian sort of secular ethics, really very much talking about these things. So that I usually telling. So therefore, perhaps I want to say, I'm proud as a disciple, chela of these great Indian thinkers. And also now these days I mentioned I myself as a son of India. There are 2 reasons. One reason, my mind, as I mentioned earlier, since childhood, my brain eventually, because of filled by Nalanda thought. That's Indian thought. Then this physical, now over 54 years, now nearly 55 years, this body survived by Indian dals, Indian rice, Indian chapati. So therefore, I am son of India. And whenever I go, I always describe myself as a messenger of India. So I'm really proud. You see, because of this great sort of human brain, really remarkable, really remarkable. So we study that, we practice according to their sort of, what's the finding? Very scientific way of approach. My mind, my mental way of thinking, quite scientific. So even 1954, when I was in Peking, many occasions meeting with Chairman Mao Zedong. Chairman Mao Zedong also, you see, one occasion told me, your thinking is very scientific thinking. Chairman Mao acknowledged. Then what he said, religion is poison. So it is understandable, you see. When Chairman Mao Zedong, if Chairman Mao Zedong, you see, have the opportunity to learn these great Indian masters of thought, I think Mao Zedong also will follow. But usually, you see, people, religion means something, pray to mysterious things. not much sort of emphasis importance of hard work. So in any way, I really feel sort of great honor as a son of India and also messenger of India with such wonderful Indian gurus, sort of vast knowledge, very practical knowledge. So now this sort of meeting, I hope some kind of reminds these ancient Indian knowledge, ancient Indian treasure of knowledge. So I hope as an academic subject, more universities, more colleges, I think pay more attention about this ancient Indian knowledge. And also then they, Buddhist epistemology, logically analyze. Now some scientists also now really showing interest. One time some scientists asked me, you see, that sort of, the wave approach to analyze things that can adopt some other sort of subject, asked me. I mentioned, oh yes, of course, we're also trying. In the past, you see, according to the Buddhist Buddhist philosophy or Buddhist concept, but now that easily can shift to other subject. Medicine or law or anything. I think if lawyer knows this approach, then I think very difficult to defeat that. Easily pick up other sort of wrong things, isn't it? So like that. So I think this you see, epistemology, you should consider method, not religious thing. Simply something like key, open this great potential of our brain. How to analyze. When we look something, we not accept easily. Analyze. Try to look, the logical approach, always bring holistic sort of object there, holistic. Then always you try to find the reality through 4 dimensions or 6 dimensions. Very, very helpful. Very helpful. So that the wave approach, you see, can easily adopt different sort of subject, different field, like that. So that I want to say. Thank you very much. Thank you.